Kang Taeyang stood in the center of the massive council chamber. The room was so large that his voice echoed off the distant walls. Around him sat representatives from 12 different alien species. Some looked like giant insects. Others were made of crystal that glowed with inner light. A few resembled reptiles with scales that changed colors. Taeyang was here to speak for Earth. He was humanity's ambassador, chosen to ask the Galactic Council for one thing: to accept humans as full members. He had prepared for this moment for 2 years. He knew his speech by heart. "Honorable council members," Taeyang began, his voice steady. "I come before you today to present humanity's request for membership. We have much to offer the galactic community." He activated a holographic display that showed Earth's achievements. Images of cities, spacecraft, medical technology, and art filled the air. Taeyang spoke about human culture, about how his people had overcome wars to build a peaceful world. He talked about the technologies they had developed, the diseases they had cured, and their desire to learn from other species. The council members barely looked at him. Some whispered among themselves. Others seemed to be sleeping. The Vrelian overlord, a massive creature named Kreshtar, actually laughed when Taeyang mentioned human achievements. After Taeyang finished his presentation, there was a long silence. Then Kreshtar spoke. His voice was deep and rumbling, filled with contempt. 400 years, Kreshtar said. That is how long your species has been in space. My people have explored the stars for 40,000 years. You are children playing with toys you barely understand. A crystalline being named Velinus spoke next. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. Humans are too violent. Your history is filled with wars, genocide, and destruction. You are not ready to join civilized species. Taeyang tried to respond, but Kreshtar raised a massive hand for silence. The council will vote now. One by one, each representative voted. All 12 voted no. Not a single voice supported humanity's membership. Worse, the council then announced new rules. Humans could not colonize any planet beyond their solar system. They could only trade in specific zones. They had to pay huge fees for everything. Taeyang felt his heart sink, but he kept his face calm. I must protest these restrictions. They are too harsh. They will cripple human development. That is the point, Velinus said coldly. Perhaps in a few thousand years, your species will mature enough to join us. Until then, know your place. Kreshtar gestured to the guards. This meeting is over. Remove the human. 2 large reptilian guards grabbed Taeyang's arms. They were not gentle. They dragged him from the chamber as the council members returned to their own discussions, already forgetting about him. To them, he was nothing. Humans were nothing. Taeyang was escorted to his small diplomatic shuttle. The guards shoved him inside and left without a word. He sat in the pilot's seat, his hands shaking with anger and disappointment. Humanity had hoped for so much from this meeting. Now he had to return home and tell them they had been rejected completely. Before he could start the engines, his communication system beeped. An encrypted message appeared on his screen. It was from Rin, a member of the peaceful Delphian species. Taeyang had met him months ago. Rin had always been kind. Unlike most aliens Taeyang encountered, the message was short and urgent. Leave immediately. Do not delay. They plan to make an example of you. Trust no one. Go now. Taeyang's blood went cold. Make an example? What did that mean? He quickly started his shuttle's engines and requested permission to depart from the station. Permission granted, the station's computer voice said. Safe travels, Ambassador. Taeyang guided his shuttle away from the massive council station. The station was built like a giant wheel, rotating slowly in space. Thousands of ships came and went from its docking ports every day. Taeyang had been proud to arrive here 2 days ago. Now, he just wanted to get far away. He had barely traveled beyond the station's outer security zone when his sensors screamed a warning. 3 council enforcement ships appeared from behind a nearby asteroid. They were much larger than his diplomatic shuttle. Their weapons were already powering up. This Is Council security, a voice said over the communication channel. Taeyang recognized it as Commander Thrax, the head of station security. Cut your engines immediately. Prepare to be boarded. On what grounds? Taeyang demanded. I have diplomatic immunity. Not anymore, Thrax replied. There was satisfaction in his voice. Before Taeyang could respond, one of the ships fired. It was not a weapon blast, but an electromagnetic pulse. The blue wave of energy washed over his shuttle. Every system died instantly. Lights went out, engines stopped. Even life support went silent. The shuttle was dead in space. Taeyang tried to restart the backup systems, but nothing worked. Through his window, he watched helplessly as the Council ships approached. One of them extended a docking tube and attached to his shuttle's airlock. He heard the hiss of the outer door opening. Thrax entered first, followed by 4 armed guards. The reptilian commander was huge, nearly 3 meters tall, with scales that gleamed like polished bronze. He looked at Taeyang with cold yellow eyes. Search the ship, Thrax ordered his guards. You have no right, Taeyang protested. This is an Earth vessel. I am a diplomatic representative. Thrax struck him across the face with the back of his hand. The blow sent Taeyang crashing against the wall. Pain exploded in his jaw. Blood filled his mouth. You have no rights here, human, Thrax said. The Council has revoked your diplomatic status. You are now just another criminal. Taeyang watched in horror as the guards pulled boxes from their own ship and placed them in his cargo hold. He could see weapons, illegal drugs, and other contraband. What are you doing? Taeyang shouted. Those are not mine. No? Thrax smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. I believe we have just discovered that Earth's ambassador is a smuggler. How unfortunate. The Council will be very disappointed. No one will believe this, Taeyang said. But his voice shook. He realized the truth. They were framing him. They were going to kill him and claim he was a criminal. Earth would be humiliated. You humans need to learn your place, Thrax said, grabbing Taeyang by the throat and lifting him off the ground. You are nothing but vermin, pretending to be civilized. The Council has been patient with your kind, but that patience has limits. Thrax threw Taeyang to the floor. The guards continued planting evidence. Taeyang tried to reach his emergency beacon, but one guard kicked his hand away. Another guard hit him in the ribs. He heard something crack. Kill him, Thrax ordered. Make it look like an engine failure. The shuttle will explode. No evidence? No witness? No problem. The guards dragged Taeyang toward the airlock. He fought, but he was one man against 5 trained soldiers. They were too strong. Then, in the chaos, an alarm sounded. One of the guards had accidentally activated the shuttle's emergency systems while planting the explosives. In that moment of distraction, Taeyang broke free. He ran to the emergency pod bay and threw himself inside the small escape capsule. His fingers found the launch button and pressed it just as Thrax reached for him. The pod ejected with explosive force. Taeyang was thrown against the restraints as the tiny capsule shot away from his shuttle. Through the small window, he saw Thrax's face twisted with rage. Seconds later, his shuttle exploded. The blast was enormous. A ball of fire that expanded rapidly in the darkness of space. Debris flew in all directions. Some pieces hit his pod, making it spin wildly. Taeyang's vision blurred. His head was bleeding. His ribs screamed with pain. The pod tumbled through space, its systems barely functioning. He could hear air hissing from a small crack in the hull. As consciousness faded, Taeyang activated the pod's distress beacon. He set it to a frequency used by smugglers and pirates, not official channels. The Council would be monitoring all regular frequencies. His last thought before darkness took him was simple and cold. They had tried to kill him. They had failed, and he would make them pay. 6 months had passed since Taeyang's shuttle exploded. The Council had officially declared him dead. Earth held a funeral service for their lost ambassador. His family mourned. The government issued angry protests, but the Council dismissed them. Just another tragic accident in the dangerous void of space. But Kang Taeyang was not dead. A smuggler ship had found his emergency pod drifting near the Rim territories. The captain, a grizzled alien trader named Korv, had been tempted to leave the pod alone. Rescuing people brought complications, but something made him pull the pod aboard. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was conscience. Taeyang had been barely alive. His left arm was crushed. His eye was damaged beyond repair. He had multiple broken ribs and internal bleeding. Korv had taken him to a black market medical station where doctors asked no questions if you had credits. The recovery was long and painful. Surgeons replaced Taeyang's damaged arm with a cybernetic one. His ruined eye was removed and replaced with a mechanical implant that could see in multiple spectrums. Scars covered his body. Reminders of what the Council had done. During his recovery, Taeyang learned about the Rim territories. This was where people came when they wanted to disappear. Criminals, refugees, and outcasts from 100 species lived here. The Council's reach was weak in this region. Here, different rules applied. Power came from strength and cunning, not noble birth or ancient bloodlines. Taeyang used his time to gather information. He hacked into data networks, bribed information brokers, and listened to gossip in dirty bars. What he learned made his blood boil. The Council's corruption went far deeper than he had imagined. They had been suppressing younger species for thousands of years. Any civilization that advanced too quickly was crushed through economic warfare, sabotage, or outright destruction. Humanity's rejection was not about being unworthy. It was about being too successful. Humans had gone from steam engines to faster-than-light travel in just 400 years. That terrified the Council. They wanted to cripple Earth before humans became strong enough to challenge their authority. Taeyang's grief turned into cold fury. The Council had tried to kill him. They wanted to destroy his species. He could not let that stand. He was just one man, but he would make them pay. He would hit them where it hurt. His first target was Grathkor, a Vrelian mining executive. Taeyang had learned that Grathkor had been one of the loudest voices demanding harsh restrictions on humanity. More importantly, Grathkor ran illegal mining operations in neutral space. He used slaves from conquered species to dig precious minerals from asteroids. Taeyang spent 2 weeks studying Grathkor's operations. The main facility was on asteroid K-447, a rock floating in an uninhabited system. Security was tight but not impossible. Grathkor was arrogant. He believed the Council's power protected him. He never expected someone to attack him. Taeyang arrived at K-447 inches, a stolen cargo hauler. He posed as a human mercenary looking for work. The facility manager, a cruel Vrelian named Drek, barely glanced at his forged credentials. Another human, Drek sneered. You people will do any dirty work for credits. Report to the sorting bay. You will work 16-hour shifts, cause trouble, and you will be spaced. Taeyang bowed his head like a submissive worker. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Inside the facility, Taeyang saw horrors that made him sick. Dozens of aliens from weak species worked in terrible conditions. They were beaten for working too slowly. They got barely enough food to survive. Children as young as 8 operated dangerous machinery. Many workers had missing fingers or hands from accidents. Taeyang worked alongside them, pretending to be just another desperate human. He fixed machines, hauled ore, and kept his head down. But at night, he explored. His cybernetic eye could see in darkness. His mechanical arm could interface with computer systems. Slowly, carefully, he mapped every corridor, every security checkpoint, every camera. On the 10th day, he met Yoon Hana. She was carrying a heavy container of refined ore when she stumbled. The container fell, spilling its contents across the floor. A Vrelian guard raised his weapon to punish her, but Taeyang stepped between them. My fault, sir, Taeyang said quickly. I bumped into her. Please, let me take her punishment. The guard looked annoyed but lowered his weapon. Clean this mess up. Both of you. And you get no food tonight. After the guard left, Hana looked at Taeyang with surprise. Why did you do that? You do not even know me. We humans need to stick together, Taeyang said with a slight smile. Over the next few days, Hana and Taeyang became friends. She told him her story. She had been a cargo pilot, working for an independent shipping company. Her ship was attacked by pirates. The pirates killed her crew but let her escape after taking everything valuable. Later, she learned the pirates worked for the council. They attacked independent traders to control shipping routes. "I have nothing left," Hana said bitterly, "so I came here. At least I am alive." Taeyang studied her carefully. She was tough, smart, and angry. He needed someone like that. He decided to trust her. "What if I told you," Taeyang said quietly, "that you could have revenge? What if you could hurt the people who destroyed your life?" Hana's eyes narrowed. "Who are you really?" Taeyang told her everything. At first, she did not believe him. The dead ambassador? Alive? Planning to attack the council? It sounded insane. But then he showed her his cybernetic implants. He showed her the data he had collected. He showed her his plan. "You are crazy," Hana said when he finished. "This will never work. You are one man against the entire Galactic Council." "One man and one woman," Taeyang corrected. "If you will help me." Hana was silent for a long time. Then she smiled. "When do we start?" They planned carefully. The facility received a major ore shipment once a month. The next shipment was in 3 days. During shipment processing, most guards would be busy in the loading bay. That would be their chance. Taeyang spent those 3 days preparing. He built small explosives from mining equipment. He hacked into the facility's computer systems and created back doors. Hana prepared her old cargo shuttle, which she had hidden in the facility's storage area. On the night of the shipment, everything went according to plan. Hana created a distraction by triggering alarms in the west section of the facility. Guards rushed to investigate. Taeyang moved through empty corridors toward Grathcor's private quarters. The Vrelian executive was in his luxurious room, drinking expensive liquor and counting his profits. He did not hear Taeyang enter. He only noticed when Taeyang locked the door behind him. "Who dares enter without permission?" Grathcor roared. Then he saw Taeyang and laughed. "A human slave? Did you get lost, insect?" "I am not lost," Taeyang said calmly. "I am exactly where I need to be." Grathcor reached for his communication device, but Taeyang had already jammed all signals. The executive's expression changed from amusement to concern. "What do you want? Credits? I can make you rich." "I want you to understand something," Taeyang said. "You voted to destroy humanity. You tried to crush my people before we could challenge you. That was a mistake." Grathcor grabbed a weapon from his desk, a plasma pistol. But Taeyang was faster. His cybernetic arm moved with inhuman speed, knocking the weapon away. Grathcor attacked with his massive fists. He was much larger than Taeyang, much stronger. But Taeyang had spent 6 months preparing for this. He was faster, smarter, and filled with cold rage. He dodged the heavy blows and struck at weak points. He used furniture as weapons. He used the room itself as a battlefield. The fight was brutal but short. Taeyang left Grathcor alive but broken, tied to a chair in his own room. Around him, Taeyang placed all the evidence he had gathered about the illegal mining operation. Financial records, video of slave labor, communications with council officials who knew about the crimes but ignored them. "When your people find you," Taeyang said, "all of this will go public. The entire galaxy will see what you are." Taeyang. Taeyang. He pressed a red handprint on the wall before leaving. A human handprint. A message. Outside, alarms were blaring. Taeyang had set his explosives to overload the reactor core. He met Hana at her shuttle. Together, they blasted through the facility's outer doors as explosions rocked the asteroid. Behind them, slaves were escaping in evacuation pods. As they jumped into faster-than-light travel, Taeyang looked back at the burning facility. This was just the beginning. The council thought he was dead. That was their mistake. Now he was a ghost, and he was going to haunt them. 3 months had passed since the attack on Grathcor's facility. The news had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. A mining executive humiliated. His crimes exposed. His slaves freed. Then it happened again. A council trade official was found in his office, bound and terrified, while evidence of his corruption was broadcast to every news network. Then again, a military commander who had attacked human colonies was left alive but ruined, his illegal weapons deals revealed for all to see. 5 attacks in 3 months, 5 council officials destroyed. Each time, the attacker left the same calling card, a red human handprint. In the council's intelligence headquarters, Director Velroth studied the pattern. She was a Shardian, a being made of living crystal that pulsed with thought. Her mind was analytical and cold. She did not feel fear like other species. But she understood danger. And this was dangerous. Connect the targets. She ordered her team. Holographic displays showed the 5 victims. Different species, different roles, different locations. But one thing united them. All had voted against humanity's membership. All had pushed for harsh restrictions on Earth. This was not random violence. This was revenge. Find me the identity of this attacker, Velroth said. Search all databases. Check for any human with military training who might want revenge. But Velroth's team found nothing. The attacker was too careful. He left no DNA, no fingerprints except the symbolic handprint, no witnesses who could identify him. He was a ghost. While the council scrambled to understand what was happening, Taeyang was building something larger. He and Hana had recruited others. Park Minho was a brilliant engineer whose research on faster-than-light engines had been stolen by a council corporation. They had patented his work under their name and left him with nothing. Lee Soha was a former Earth security officer. Her family had died in a colony accident that was later revealed to be sabotage by council operatives. Choi Jin-woo was a hacker who had spent 2 years in a council prison on false charges. Each of them had been hurt by the council. Each wanted justice. Together, in a hidden base, on an abandoned moon, they planned their next move. We have hurt them financially, Minho said, studying tactical displays. But they have unlimited resources. We need to hit them in a different way. Information, Jin-woo suggested. The council's power comes from control. They control what people know, what people believe. If we can expose their real history, we can turn the galaxy against them. Taeyang nodded. The archive. That is where they keep their secrets. The council archive was legendary. It was a massive station that stored the collected knowledge of all member species. Histories, scientific discoveries, cultural records. Everything was preserved there. But there was also a restricted section, accessible only to the highest council members. That section contained the truth. Records of species the council had destroyed, evidence of their crimes, proof of their conspiracy. The security is impossible, Soha said. Even if we could get inside. The restricted section is guarded by the best soldiers in the galaxy. Nothing is impossible, Taeyang replied. Just difficult. They spent weeks planning. Jinwoo hacked into the archive's security network and created false credentials. Minho forged documentation, showing them as academic researchers from a minor species. Hana obtained a small research vessel that would not draw attention. Soha trained them on how to move, how to act, how to blend in. When they arrived at the archive station, Taeyang was amazed by its beauty. The entire structure was made of the same crystalline material as the Shardians. It glowed with soft light, and its halls were filled with data crystals containing millennia of knowledge. Scholars from dozens of species walked the corridors, studying ancient texts and modern discoveries. Taeyang and Soha posed as human researchers studying cultural exchange programs. Their false credentials worked perfectly. The archive guards barely glanced at them. Why would anyone suspect an attack here? This was a place of learning, not conflict. For 3 days, they moved through the archive like ordinary visitors. They studied its layout, identified guard rotations, and located the restricted section. It was deep in the station's core, protected by multiple security layers, energy shields, armed guards, biometric scanners, and lethal defense systems. On the fourth night, they made their move. Jinwoo, working remotely from their ship, began his digital assault. He fed false data to security systems, making them see empty corridors where Taeyang and Soha actually walked. He looped camera feeds and disabled alarms. The restricted section's door required authorization from a high-level council member. But Jinwoo had stolen Velnis's credentials months ago during a different operation. The door slid open silently. Inside, the chamber was filled with data crystals that glowed with an ominous red light. These were forbidden truths. Taeyang began downloading everything he could. Names of destroyed species, evidence of genocides, proof that the council had committed mass murder at least 3 times in the past 1,000 years. And worse, detailed plans for humanity's destruction. According to the files, Earth was scheduled for economic collapse within 20 years. After humanity was weakened, the council would offer to help, but only if Earth surrendered its independence. If humans refused, a fabricated conflict would justify military intervention. Either way, humanity would be subjugated or destroyed. "We need to leave," Soha whispered urgently. "Now," but it was too late. High Curator Velnis entered the chamber. The crystalline being's glow intensified with anger. Behind her, the security systems activated. Energy barriers sealed the exits. "The dead human ambassador," Velnis said, her voice like breaking glass. "I should have known. You have been the ghost haunting us." "You tried to kill me," Taeyang replied calmly. "You tried to destroy my species. Did you think there would be no consequences?" "You are one individual," Velnis said. "Even if you expose these records, it changes nothing. The Council has stood for 40,000 years. We have survived challenges before. We will survive you." "Maybe," Taeyang said. "But the galaxy will know the truth. Every species you have oppressed, every civilization you have crushed, they will all know what you really are." Velnis moved to activate an alarm, but Taeyang raised his hand. "I would not do that if I were you. My friend has already uploaded everything to the Galactic Network. If you call for help, he releases it immediately. The restricted archive becomes public knowledge. Is that what you want?" It was a bluff, but Velnis hesitated. In that moment of uncertainty, Jinwoo triggered a station-wide emergency. False reports of a reactor breach flooded the security network. Alarms blared throughout the archive. Guards rushed to evacuate scholars. In the chaos, the energy barriers flickered. Soha threw a flash grenade. The bright light overloaded Velnis's crystalline body, forcing her to dim her consciousness to protect herself. Taeyang and Soha ran. They fought their way through corridors filled with confused guards. Taeyang's cybernetic arm smashed through obstacles. Soha's combat training allowed her to disable opponents without killing them. They reached their ship just as archive security realized the reactor breach was fake. As Hana piloted them away from the station, Taeyang looked at the data crystal in his hand. Everything they needed was stored inside this small device. Proof of the Council's evil. Evidence that would shock the galaxy. "Did you really upload it already?" Hana asked. "No," Taeyang admitted. "But she believed I did. That is what mattered." "She saw your face," Soha said grimly. "The Council knows you are alive now. They will come for you with everything they have." "Good," Taeyang said. "I want them to know. I want them to be afraid. For too long, they have made others fear them. Now, it is their turn." Back on the archive station, Velnis reported to the Council. Director Velroth listened to the news with her usual calm analysis. "So the ghost has a face," Velroth said. "Kang Taeyang, the ambassador we failed to kill. This is problematic. He has evidence that could destroy us," Velnis said. "Then we must destroy him first," Velroth replied. "Assemble a task force. Use our best hunters. I want him found. I want him captured or killed. And I want every human who has helped him eliminated." The order went out across Council space. The hunt for Taeyang had begun in earnest. The ghost was real. and the council would stop at nothing to end him. But Taeyang was already planning his next move. He had hurt the council's pride and exposed some of their crimes. Now, he needed to do more. He needed allies. He needed an army, because the war was just beginning, and one man could only do so much alone. On their ship, as they jumped through space, Taeyang gathered his team. "We have struck at them 5 times, he said. "Each time, we have won. But they are coming for us now, with their full force. We cannot fight them alone anymore. We need to find others who hate the council as much as we do. We need to build a resistance." "Where do we even start?" Minho asked. Taeyang smiled. "We start with the people they have hurt the most. The refugees, the oppressed, the forgotten. The galaxy is full of species the council has crushed. We remind them that they do not have to stay crushed. We give them hope, we give them weapons, and we give them a chance to fight back." The war against the council was expanding, and Kang Taeyang, the lone human they had tried to kill, was becoming something they feared more than any weapon. A symbol of resistance. The news of Taeyang's survival reached Earth through back channels and smuggler networks. The government did not know whether to celebrate or panic. Their dead ambassador was alive, but he was now the most wanted individual in the galaxy. The council had issued an ultimatum. Surrender Taeyang and his accomplices within 1 week, or face total embargo and possible military action. Earth's cities erupted in protests. Millions of humans took to the streets, demanding the council answer for their crimes. The evidence Taeyang had leaked was spreading across human networks. People saw the truth about the council's genocides, their conspiracy against humanity, their corruption. Public anger reached levels not seen in generations. The Earth government mobilized its military fleets. Warships moved to defensive positions around the solar system. If the council wanted war, humanity would be ready. But everyone knew the truth. Earth's fleet was tiny compared to the council's combined forces. In a full war, humanity would lose. Meanwhile, Director Velroth assembled her task force. She handpicked the deadliest operatives from across council space. Commander Thrax led the ground forces, still angry about his humiliation at Taeyang's hands. Elite Vrelian commandos joined him. Shardian intelligence agents brought their mind-reading abilities. Mercenaries from a dozen species added their special skills. Their mission was simple: find Taeyang and end him. Velroth's network of spies worked day and night. They tracked ship movements, intercepted communications, and interrogated anyone who might have information. It took 3 weeks, but eventually, they found a lead. A smuggler mentioned seeing a human matching Taeyang's description on Haven's Rest, a refugee settlement on a remote moon. Haven's Rest was home to thousands of displaced beings. Species that had lost their worlds to council expansion lived here in poverty. The settlement was built from scrap metal and old ship parts. It had no official government, no military, just people trying to survive. Taeyang had come here specifically because of this. These refugees were victims of the council, just like him. He spoke to them about resistance, about fighting back, about reclaiming their dignity. Some listened with hope in their eyes. Others thought he was crazy. But slowly, carefully, he was building something. Kim Yuna was a human doctor who had been working at Haven's Rest for 2 years. She ran a small medical clinic for refugees, treating injuries and illnesses with limited supplies. When Taeyang arrived with his team, she immediately recognized him from news broadcasts. "You are going to get everyone here killed," Yuna said bluntly when they first met. "The council will not care about civilians. If they find you here, they will destroy this entire settlement." "Then help me protect them," Taeyang replied. "I am not just running anymore. I am building a resistance. These people deserve a chance to fight for their freedom." Yuna studied him carefully. She saw the scars, the cybernetic implants, the cold determination in his eyes. She also saw something else: genuine care for the refugees he was trying to help. "I will help you," Yuna finally said. "But if the council comes, we evacuate civilians first." No matter what. Agreed. Over the next month, Taeyang's network grew. He connected with resistance cells from other oppressed species. He trained volunteers in basic combat. Minho helped refugees repair old weapons and defensive systems. Jinwoo set up communication networks that the council could not monitor. Soha organized patrol schedules and defensive positions, but they were not prepared for what came next. The council fleet arrived without warning. 15 warships appeared in orbit around Haven's Rest. They did not send demands. They did not try to negotiate. They simply opened fire. Orbital bombardment struck the settlement's outer sectors. Buildings exploded. Fires spread rapidly. Refugees screamed and ran in all directions. The attack was overwhelming, designed to cause maximum terror and destruction. "Evacuate everyone!" Taeyang shouted over the communications network. "Get them to the underground shelters." His team scattered to help. Hana ran her shuttle back and forth, pulling refugees from burning buildings. Minho and Jinwoo worked frantically to activate the settlement's ancient defensive shields. Yuna and her medical staff set up emergency aid stations. Soha took command of the few armed defenders Haven's Rest had. Most were not soldiers, just desperate people with old weapons. But they were willing to fight. "Hold the northern checkpoint," Soha ordered. "Do not let them advance into the residential sectors." By time for the evacuation, Commander Thrax landed with his assault force in the settlement's central plaza. 200 elite soldiers spread out in perfect formation. They moved through the streets with brutal efficiency, killing anyone who resisted. Taeyang watched from a defensive position, his heart filled with rage. These were innocent people. Refugees who had already lost everything. The council was slaughtering them just to get to him. "I am going to end this," Taeyang said. "That is exactly what they want." Hana warned, through the communication link. "They want you to expose yourself." "I know, but I cannot let these people die for me." Taeyang moved through the chaos like a ghost. His cybernetic eye identified enemy positions. His mechanical arm gave him strength beyond normal human limits. He struck at council soldiers from unexpected angles, taking them down quickly and moving before they could respond. But the council forces were too many. For every soldier Taeyang eliminated, 2 more appeared. The defensive line was collapsing. Refugees were dying despite their best efforts to protect them. Then disaster struck. Soha's position was overrun. She found herself trapped in a collapsed building with a dozen civilians behind her. Council soldiers advanced from 3 directions. "Taeyang." Soha's voice came over the communication link. "I cannot hold them. If I retreat, the civilians die." "Ender, fall back," Taeyang ordered. "I will create a distraction." "No," Soha replied calmly. "There is no time. Get the others out." "That is an order." Before Taeyang could respond, Soha activated the explosives Minho had placed throughout the settlement for emergencies. The entire section where she was trapped exploded, taking out the advancing council soldiers. The blast created enough confusion for the civilians behind her to escape, but Soha did not make it. Her last transmission was clear. "Make them pay for all of us." Taeyang felt something break inside him. Soha had been with him from the beginning. She had believed in this fight. And now, she was gone. The rage that filled him was cold and absolute. He stopped being tactical. He stopped being careful. He became a force of pure vengeance. Taeyang found Commander Thrax in the settlement's main square. The reptilian commander was directing his forces, confident in his victory. "Thrax!" Taeyang shouted. The commander turned, and for the first time, Taeyang saw surprise on his face. "The human ambassador. How convenient. I will enjoy killing you personally." They fought in the burning ruins of Haven's Rest. Thrax was massive. His armor was advanced, and his strength was incredible. But Taeyang fought with the fury of someone who had lost everything. He used debris as weapons. He struck at weak points in the armor. He refused to fall. The battle was savage. Thrax landed blows that would have killed a normal human. But Taeyang's cybernetic enhancements kept him moving. His mechanical arm crushed through armor plating. His enhanced eye predicted Thrax's movements. Finally, Taeyong found an opening. He drove a piece of sharp metal through a gap in Thrax's armor, deep into the commander's side. Thrax roared in pain and collapsed. "You cannot win," Thrax gasped. "The council will never stop. You are just one human." "I am not trying to win," Taeyong said coldly. "I am trying to make you afraid. And it is working." He left Thrax alive but broken, his armor torn apart, as a message to Velroth. Hana's voice crackled through his communication device. "Taeyong, we have evacuated most of the civilians. But Minho is critical. He took shrapnel protecting Jinwoo. We need to leave now." The team retreated to their ships as the council forces regrouped. Half of Haven's Rest was destroyed. Hundreds of refugees had died. Soha was gone. Minho was barely clinging to life. As they escaped into faster-than-light travel, Taeyong looked at his team. They were exhausted, wounded, and heartbroken. But they were still alive. Still fighting. "The council will keep coming," Yuna said quietly. "This will never end unless we change the game." Taeyong nodded. She was right. Running and hiding was not enough. Attacking individual targets was not enough. If they wanted to truly stop the council, they needed to strike at the heart of their power. They needed to expose the council's crimes in a way that could not be denied or covered up. "The Grand Assembly," Taeyong said. "It happens in 2 months. Every species in the galaxy will be watching. If we can broadcast the truth there, we can turn the entire galaxy against the council." "That is insane," Jinwoo said. "The security at the Grand Assembly is impossible." "Nothing is impossible," Taeyong replied, echoing his own words from months ago. "Just difficult. And we have 2 months to figure it out." The team looked at each other. They had lost so much. But they had also proven something important. The council could be hurt. The council could bleed. And most importantly, the council could be afraid. The final battle was coming. And Kang Taeyang, the lone human who refused to die, was going to make sure the entire galaxy was watching. The Grand Assembly happened once every 10 years. It was the most important event in galactic politics. Representatives from every council member species gathered in person to discuss the state of the galaxy. Treaties were signed. New policies were announced. The entire event was broadcast to billions of viewers across thousands of worlds. Security at the Grand Assembly was legendary. Psychic scanners detected hostile intentions. Biometric systems identified every individual. Armed guards from elite units patrolled every corridor. No one could bring weapons inside. No one could disrupt the proceedings. It had never been done in 40,000 years. Taeyang planned to do it anyway. 2 months had passed since Haven's Rest. Minho had survived his injuries, though he would carry scars forever. The team had used that time to prepare. They studied every detail of the assembly station. They analyzed security protocols. They looked for weaknesses. Their breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Rin, the Delphian who had warned Taeyang before his assassination attempt, reached out through encrypted channels. He had been quietly gathering allies within the council itself. Officials who were horrified by what they had discovered. Bureaucrats who believed in justice. Scientists who valued truth over politics. "There are more of us than you think," Rin said during their secret meeting. "Many council members do not know about the corruption. They believe in the system. When they learn the truth, they will help." "Can you get us inside the assembly?" Taeyang asked. "I am part of the security committee," Rin replied. "I can create credentials for diplomatic staff. But you must understand the risk. If you are caught, I cannot protect you. And if this fails, the council will never allow reform. They will crack down harder than ever." Quote, "We will not fail," Taeyang said with certainty. The team arrived at the assembly station in small groups over several days. They posed as low-level diplomatic assistants from minor species. Jinwoo came as a technical specialist, Hana as a protocol officer, Yuna as a medical consultant, Minho as an engineering advisor. Each passed through security separately. Their false credentials perfect, Taeyong was the last to arrive. His appearance had changed dramatically. Cosmetic surgery had altered his facial features. Contact lenses hid his cybernetic eye. Synthetic skin covered his mechanical arm. He looked like a completely different person. Even his old colleagues from Earth would not have recognized him. Rin guided them through the massive station. It was built like a floating city, with chambers for thousands of delegates. At its heart was the Grand Hall, an enormous auditorium where the main assembly would take place. Over several days, they smuggled in Jinwoo's equipment piece by piece. Nothing electronic could pass security. So Jinwoo had built his hacking tools from components that looked harmless separately. A data crystal here. A power cell there. Innocent parts that became powerful tools when assembled. The night before the assembly, they gathered in a maintenance room deep in the station. Jinwoo assembled his equipment while the others stood watch. "Once I start the broadcast, they will find us within minutes," Jinwoo said. "We need to hold our position long enough to show everything. 10 minutes. Minimum. We will give you 20, Taeyong promised. The Grand Assembly began with traditional ceremony. Thousands of delegates filled the hall. On the main stage sat the council leadership, Overlord Kreshtar, Director Velroth, and the other high officials. They looked confident, powerful, untouchable. The assembly proceeded normally for the first hour. Reports were given. Minor policies were discussed. Delegates applauded politely. It was boring and predictable, exactly as it had been for thousands of years. Then every screen in the hall changed. Jinwoo had hacked into the broadcast system. The images that appeared showed things the council had hidden for millennia. Genocides, documented in the restricted archive. Species destroyed for advancing too quickly. Economic warfare designed to crush emerging civilizations. Council officials discussing how to manipulate and control member species. The evidence was undeniable. Video recordings, audio communications, official documents with council seals. Everything Taeyong had gathered over months of fighting was now displayed for the entire galaxy to see. Chaos erupted in the Grand Hall. Delegates shouted in horror. Some attacked the council representatives sitting near them. Others demanded explanations. The carefully controlled assembly descended into pandemonium. "Find the source of that broadcast," Kreshtar roared. "Shut it down." But Jinwoo had built redundancies into his system. Every time security shut down one transmission, another activated. The evidence kept playing. Then Taeyong stepped onto the assembly floor. His disguise was gone. He stood in the center of the hall, visible to everyone, his voice amplified by the same system Jinwoo controlled. "My name is Kang Taeyong," he said. "I was Earth's ambassador. The council tried to kill me because humanity was advancing too quickly. They framed me as a criminal and destroyed my ship. I survived, and I have spent the last year uncovering the truth about the Galactic Council." Every eye in the hall focused on him. Billions of viewers across the galaxy watched through their screens. This was the moment everything would change. "The Council fears progress," Taeyong continued. "They fear species that might challenge their power. So they destroy them before they can become threats. They have done this for thousands of years. My species was next on their list, but we will not go quietly. We will not be erased from history, like the others." Velroth activated the station's security forces. Armed guards poured into the Grand Hall from every entrance. But something unexpected happened. Some of the guards did not move to arrest Taeyong. They stood still, weapons lowered. These were the ones Rin had recruited, the ones who believed in justice. A battle erupted inside the assembly itself. Guards who remained loyal to the council fought against those who had seen the evidence and switched sides. Delegates joined the fighting, some defending the council, others demanding accountability. In the chaos, Kreshtar pushed through the crowd toward Taeyong. The massive Vrelian overlord was a warrior, not just a politician. His strength was legendary. "You are just one human," Kreshtar bellowed. "Even if you kill me, the council will endure." "I do not need to kill you," Taeyong replied calmly. "I just needed everyone to see the truth." Kreshtar lunged at Taeyang with murderous intent. But before he could strike, he was tackled by security forces who had defected. Warriors from oppressed species held him down. Even some council delegates joined in restraining him. The tide had turned. The evidence was too strong. The anger was too widespread. The council's authority was crumbling before everyone's eyes. Director Velroth, seeing that the situation was lost, made a desperate choice. She released more classified files to the Galactic Network, offering them in exchange for immunity. Her actions only made things worse for the Council. Every secret they had kept was now public knowledge. Over the next hours, the Grand Assembly transformed into something unprecedented. It became a trial of the Council itself. Species after species stood up to share their suffering. Evidence was presented, crimes were documented. The Council leadership was formally arrested by their own security forces. Some species withdrew from the Council entirely. Others demanded complete restructuring. A few tried to defend the old system, but they were drowned out by calls for change. Taeyang stood among the chaos, exhausted but satisfied. He had done what he set out to do. The Council would never be the same. The galaxy would never be the same. Weeks later, after the political storm had settled somewhat, Earth emerged as a key voice in forming a new galactic government. This one would be based on equality, not hierarchy. Every species would have representation. Decisions would be made through democratic process, not by ancient overlords. Taeyang was offered dozens of important positions. Ambassador again, military commander, political leader. He refused them all. "I am not a politician," he told Earth's government. "I am just a man who refused to be erased. Now that the job is done, I want to rest." He returned to Earth for the first time in over a year. The planet welcomed him as a hero. But Taeyang avoided the celebrations. Instead, he went to a quiet beach, far from cities and crowds. Hana found him there, watching the sunset over the ocean. She sat beside him in comfortable silence. "We did it," Hana said after a while. "We actually did it. Soha should be here to see this," Taeyang replied quietly. "And all the others we lost along the way. They are here," Hana said. "In everything we built, in the freedom we won. They are part of this victory." Over the following days, the others joined them. Minho, walking with a cane but alive. Jinwoo, already planning new projects. Yuna, ready to build hospitals for species who had never had proper medical care. Even Rin arrived, the Delphian who had risked everything to help them. Representatives from dozens of species came to thank Taeyang personally. Refugees from Haven's Rest who had survived. Former slaves freed from illegal operations. People who had been inspired by his fight to start their own resistance movements. They ignored the lone human, one refugee said to Taeyang. That was their first mistake. And their last mistake, Taeyang replied, was thinking we would stay down. The galaxy was changing. It would take years, maybe decades, to build something better from the ruins of the old council. There would be setbacks and struggles, but for the first time in millennia, there was hope. Kang Taeyang, the ambassador who refused to die, had shown the galaxy something important. One person could make a difference. One voice could challenge tyranny. One human could change everything. As he sat on that quiet beach with his friends, watching the sun set on one era and rise on another, Taeyang finally allowed himself to feel something he had not felt in a long time. Peace.